You're running on 4 hours of sleep, your chest feels tight, and there's a quiet voice somewhere in the back of your mind whispering that you're approaching some kind of edge. But when someone asks how you're doing, you smile. You say fine. You say busy, but good. And you mean it? Sort of. Because you've become so skilled at performing okay that you've almost convinced yourself. Almost. You've carried things no one knows about. You've solved problems in silence, cried in the shower, fallen apart in private, and then shown up the next morning as if nothing happened. People call you the strong one, the reliable one, the one who always has it together. And maybe there's a small part of you that feels proud of that. But there's another part, a quieter part, that feels so unbearably tired. Because the truth is, you've built your entire identity around never needing anyone. And that's not strength. That's survival. What I'm describing has a name. Psychologists call it hyper-independence, sometimes referred to as counter-dependency. And while it might look like confidence from the outside, underneath it's often a trauma response, a carefully constructed emotional architecture designed not to make you powerful, but to keep you safe. Safe from disappointment, safe from rejection, safe from ever having to rely on someone who might let you down. But here's what no one tells you. That safety has a cost, and eventually, the walls you built to protect yourself become the very thing trapping you inside. Let's talk about what this actually looks like, because hyper-independence doesn't announce itself. It hides in small moments, quiet decisions, subtle patterns that seem so reasonable you'd never question them. You get sick, really sick, and you tell no one. You cancel plans, you push through work, you handle it alone because the thought of someone seeing you weak feels almost unbearable. Not because you're proud, because somewhere deep down, you learn that your pain is not something others should have to deal with. Or maybe you're the person everyone comes to. You listen, you hold space, you offer advice. But when the roles reverse, when someone asks what's going on with you, you deflect. You minimize. You say it's nothing, or you turn the conversation back to them. Not because you don't want connection, but because being the helper feels safe. Being the one who needs help does not. You keep your inner world intensely private, not in a mysterious, intriguing way, but in a way that keeps people at arm's length without them even realizing it. They think they know you because you're warm, you're present, but you've only ever shown them the parts you've deemed acceptable. The rest stays locked away. When someone offers help, your first instinct is to decline, even when you need it, even when accepting would make your life easier. Something in you resists. Maybe you say, "I've got it." Maybe you feel a strange discomfort, like you're now in someone's debt, like accepting kindness comes with invisible strings you're not willing to be tied to. And perhaps the most painful one of all, you assume, on some level, that if you ever truly fell apart, no one would be there. Not because people haven't offered, but because you've never let them prove it. You've never given anyone the chance. So where does this come from? Why do some people grow up believing that needing others is dangerous? Often, it starts in childhood. Maybe you had a parent who was physically present but emotionally unavailable. They provided the basics, but you learned early that your feelings were too much. Or maybe you were parentified, meaning you became the caregiver before you ever had a chance to be cared for. You learned that love was something you earned by being useful, not something you received just for existing. Attachment research calls this an avoidant attachment style. It develops when a child learns that reaching out doesn't result in comfort, so they stop reaching. They adapt. They learn to self-soothe, to suppress their needs, to become painfully self-sufficient. And that adaptation, which was once necessary for emotional survival, hardens into identity. You start to believe that needing people is weakness, that relying on others means risking disappointment, that you're only valuable when you're capable, composed, in control. The belief becomes so embedded you don't even notice it anymore. It just feels like who you are. And here's the thing about hyper-independence. It feels like freedom. It feels like finally being in control of your own life. There's a certain intoxicating clarity in knowing you can handle everything yourself. You're not waiting on anyone. You're not vulnerable to being let down. It feels like competence, like proof that you're capable, that you've made it, that you've become the kind of person who doesn't crumble. And most seductively of all, it feels like safety. Because if you never ask for help, you never have to face the terror of being told no. You never have to experience the specific kind of rejection that comes when you finally show someone your need and they look away. But underneath all of that, there's a loneliness that doesn't make sense. You're surrounded by people, you're successful, you're admired, and yet there's an emptiness, a sense of being fundamentally unknown. Because how could anyone really know you when you've never let them see the parts of you that ache? Hyper-independence leads to burnout, not just from overwork, but from the emotional labor of pretending you're fine. It leads to resentment, quiet bitterness toward others who seem to receive help so easily while you white-knuckle your way through everything alone. It leads to shallow relationships, connections that feel warm on the surface but never reach the depth you secretly crave. And eventually, it leads to a life that looks full but feels strangely hollow. The tragedy is that the very thing you're doing to protect yourself from pain is creating its own kind of pain. Just slower, quieter, easier to ignore until it isn't. I want you to consider something. The wall you've built around yourself, the one that keeps others from seeing your struggles, it isn't protecting you from rejection. It's guaranteeing a different kind of rejection, the kind that comes from never being truly seen. You can't be fully loved by someone who only knows half of you. And you've been offering the world half of yourself for so long, you might have forgotten there's more. Letting people in doesn't mean becoming helpless. It doesn't mean losing your independence or your strength. It means expanding your definition of strength to include something that terrifies you, being witnessed in your imperfection. It means the next time someone asks if you need anything, you pause before saying no. You let the discomfort exist. You maybe, just maybe, say actually, yes. It means telling one person one true thing about how you're really doing, not for them to fix, just to be known. It means learning to receive, which might be the hardest skill of all for someone who has only ever learned to give. You've been carrying so much alone, and some part of you believes that's just who you are, but it's not who you are, it's who you had to become. And you're allowed to become something else now. The strength that got you here was real. It kept you alive. But it doesn't have to keep you isolated. You can be both strong and soft, capable and supported, independent and deeply connected. You just have to let someone in. One small crack in the wall, one vulnerable moment, one request for help you've been too afraid to make. That's not weakness. That's courage. And maybe that's the kind of strength you've been looking for all along. If this felt like someone finally put into words what you've been living, leave a comment and tell me what resonated. I read all of them. And if you want more videos that help you understand yourself on this level, subscribe and stay. There's more to uncover, and you don't have to do it alone.